We are back in Birmingham with one more pool play game to play, and it is the most intense, most significant one that you could have imagined. Canada and the United States here at the World Games. The winner faces Colombia in tomorrow's semifinal. With Daryl Stanley, Megan Tormey, I am Evan Lepler. 21 years ago, Canada defeated the United States in the World Games final, the first year that Ultimate was ever in the World Games back in 2001. No team has ever beaten the U.S. in a World Games final since then, but today, Canada has a chance to deny the Americans a medal for the first time in the history of Ultimate at the World Games. We've had a lot of time to process this. We've been thinking about it all day. Now that we're less than 15 minutes away, what's foremost on your mind?
Oh, I think the inward searching for an identity from the Team USA players. I really hope that they can find and emulate some of the cohesion we've seen from some of the great teams of this tournament.
You know, I'm thinking that USA is going to lean on some of the natural, energetic leaders on the team. People like Khalif El-Salam, Claire Chastain, Dylan Freechild. I'm thinking those individuals are going to step up and elevate the emotion of the team in a way that they have frequently done throughout their careers.
And in some ways, it's hard to fathom this couple of days for Canada. They were destroyed by Germany 13-5. Did not look like a team that had practiced together before the tournament. Of course, deep down we know they beat USA at Poultry Days in a rain-shortened game. We're going to show you some of the footage from 21 years ago when Mike Grant and Team Canada prevailed 18-17 over USA. By the way, I would love for games to be to at least 15 again, because we got 14 players now. They only had 11 back then. So let's get games back to 15. But more to the point, the Canadian perspective, light years different from where it was a couple days ago.
Oh, absolutely. They found an identity in Kimura and Britt dos Santos, figuring out that they can work it around and not focus so much. We heard Britt tell us, yeah, we're not trying to break the mark as much. We're not trying to go down that sideline that they're trying to take away from us. We just take what they're giving us, and we're working it around, and it looked a heck of a lot better.
Oh, my gosh. It was night and day difference between their two performances. And, of course, you have to acknowledge that the Germans have been defensively incredibly strong, making any team look weak. But, yeah, once Canada started creating more options for themselves by not doing too much, paid out big for them in the end.
Well, this is the bad game for Canada. They were down 4-0. They got back to within 3 at 8-5.
You can already see some hints of female-to-female throws there, right? Like there's, we just saw DeSantis before this tip throwing to Kimura for a goal. They started to figure it out. Brittany DeSantos in that game, 4 out of the 5 goals for Canada, she either scored or assisted.
That was in the bad game. And then in the good game, the Canadian women just absolutely seized control. And my question for you as we look at these highlights, do the Canadian women players have an advantage against the American female players?
Well, I think I asked Megan that question when I asked her about the German women versus Team USA. I'm gonna ask you, because I have my thoughts, but I'm curious what you have to say.
Okay, listen, I do think that the Canadian women have a distinct advantage over the United States women today because they have developed rapport and chemistry that we haven't seen on the USA squad. So there are reps in place at the World Games that USA did not manage to find.
And I'm happy to challenge you, since I suggested that the German women might be stronger. I think today that the U.S. women, I think, are going to be able to defend some of the things that we saw from Britt and Kimura.
Well, it's been a restless 26 hours or so for the American coaching staff led by Maddie Sang. They were pushed to the brink 5 years ago and responded with a win over Canada that kept them in the tournament. They need to beat Canada again. You talked about the search for an identity. What do you think that identity should be for this team with such a little time to build that identity?
Well, I know it can't be a bunch of deep throws. I mean, we saw the Team USA just not finding their mark on any of the deep shots. It seemed like they were asking a lot of their players to go and make the fastest run they've ever made, or like maybe throwing it before they were even really making the full cut here. That's Carolyn Normile over to Dylan Freechild on a pole play. That kind of missing is.
Well, there have been a couple
ridiculous.
different kinds of turns. There have been the systematic turns where it just hasn't worked out, and then we've seen a bunch of execution errors, overthrowing players. Jack Williams on a centering pass, overthrowing Carolyn Finney. errors that you don't expect these quote-unquote superstars to make.
Rush throws on the sideline because I really want this throw. I want this break. I know that player is good, and everybody just trying to basically take maybe some of the roles that they have back on their club teams or their college teams and making throws that are okay there, but maybe for Team USA, that's not their role.
And also making decisions that would be a little bit easier to battle back from against a lesser opponent. You definitely saw shots that were attempted, and frequently when those kinds of mistakes are made in the club scene for players like this, they can do something to get it back from their opponent, but Germany, so stingy with the turnovers, was not about to let that happen.
Well, the right to play Colombia is at stake. Germany, Australia will be the second semifinal tomorrow. It'll be Colombia versus the winner of either USA or Canada. That's the first scheduled semifinal. I'm glad we flipped to Matty Sang. He is such an overwhelmingly positive person and positive coach and brings that energy that's contagious. But when things aren't going well, and for teams that he's coached, it's been rare that things haven't gone well. But the USA needed to change the tone. Do you think he's capable of bringing a different tone?
I think he's been a part of maybe the greatest comeback in Ultimate history. When Fury came back against Riot, if you haven't seen it and you're new to Ultimate Frisbee, you absolutely have to Google this. It's one of the greatest games of all time. My point being, he's absolutely capable of, I think, of building that self-efficacy, that belief, that camaraderie, and even the unity and selflessness to make a team change its gears and just play for something other than themselves.
Well, Team Canada is eager to spoil the USA's party. How wild would it be if the Americans did not get out of pool play? It's potentially 13 points away because this Canadian team has not played its best game yet. And look, guys like Andrew Carroll and Kevin Underhill have been battling the Americans for a long time. They will not be intimidated. The case for Canada, Darryl, is what?
Well, right now I see that Tim Sang was doing a really good job of getting resets. I think he could be, along with Brittany Dos Santos and Kimura, I think that could be a three-headed, possession machine in the front of the stack. That's probably their best case, in my opinion. Along with Andrew Carroll, he's been very safe with the disc. He's tried to take on some of that leadership role on that offense. I think those four are really the key. If they can get that going and capitalize on some of these cheaper USA turnovers, they'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I agree. Andrew Carroll has been particularly clever downfield, making sure that he's able to get open through small windows. Been huge for offensive progression.
Well, it's just about time for picks. It's one of those games where we know the winner will be absolutely thrilled beyond belief. The loser will be heartbroken beyond words can express. One of these teams advances to the semifinals to face the Colombians. The other relegated to the bottom four, fifth-place bracket. Darryl, you have the honors. USA or Canada?
The U.S., I believe, are going to take this out. I think their depth and athleticism and defense, regardless of how many times they throw it away, will shine through and maybe overrun the Canadian team.
I also am picking the United States and am shocked at the level of apprehension I have internally, simply because they haven't yet shown us that they're able to come together as a team, but I believe in the potential of the individuals who are present today, as well the experiences a number of the previous World Games players have.
I am going to slightly stray from Mauricio. He said that it was going to Universe and the team on defense was going to win. I think we're going Universe, and the team that starts on offense will win on Universe, and I think that's going to be the United States. It's going to be a great game. The winner to the semis, the loser to the fifth-place bracket. This is everything you want in sports. Tom Stiles and Liam Grant are going to have the call for you momentarily. USA and Canada. Get your popcorn. Here we go.
Every 4 years, there is a new opportunity. A chance for the world's best players to take center stage. A chance for glory, for teamwork, for upsets, for gold. 8 countries are sending their 14 finest to Birmingham, Alabama for the opportunity to reach the pinnacle of Ultimate. The 2022 World Games start right now.
Well, what could have been a completely academic game to end Pool A has become the biggest crunch match that USA and Canada have ever played. We're used to seeing them face off in finals. Now they are competing for survival. World Games Ultimate Flying Disc from Birmingham, Alabama, with myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Liam Grant, the best seats in the house for this critical game. And Liam, it has been one heck of a tournament.
There was a script for this tournament, Tom, but Germany did not read the script. They took down Canada in the first game and then served up some humble pie for the Americans. This has become a de facto quarter-final. One team advancing to the semi-finals to face Colombia. One team going into the consolation bracket. And a big point of this game has been cohesion for these two teams. Either the Canada roster here definitely had a tough game against Germany, but they do have an identity. You know what they're going to do. They're looking for Brittany Dos Santos deep. You have the likes of Lauren Kimura anchoring the offense and Tim Sang looking for those hooks. They have an identity. Something we've seen from the US is they may have been lacking that identity, Tom. I'm not sure how the US offense is going to turn up today.
Well, the Canadians really felt like they've built through the tournament, coming back from that crushing opening game against Germany where they went down 13-5, but they had a much better performance against Great Britain. Really determined, grinding it out, finding their flow, finding their strong positions. USA, let's have a look at their team now.
USA got a kick in the teeth from Germany yesterday, and I think it was the best thing that could have happened to them, really. We've seen it happen in multiple World Games. Get taken down, but backed in the corner, they come out fighting. And we look at this roster here. Anyone can take over this game. The problem is everyone's been trying to take over the game from USA, but needed to find those roles. Who's going to run the offense? Who's going to control that deep space? And that's what this team needs. It needs cohesion on offense more than anything.
Well, let's have a look at the keys for the game. We know that the USA have struggled at the start of both of their games. If they make that strong start, if the defensive line start getting one, they are in a good position. And those female matchups, if they can contain the likes of Laura Kimura, Brittany Dos Santos, USA in a good position. Can Canada take the belief into this game, and will they be able to rely on the cohesion that they showed in their previous matchups? We see on screen Mike McKenzie, who had a brilliant game against Great Britain. Strong performance. He'll be wanting to continue that. Nate Goff, Grant Lindsley, Dylan Freechild, the 9, 10, 11, and Opie Payne standing by. We're underway here in one of the most tense and important games, the final match from pool play. It's Freechild deep in the end zone. First cut was marked out, resets. Goes back to Freechild. Goff available on the near side. Ogier Samer covering. USA in white, Canada in black. Freechild dances up the line, sends up a big disc. Trout runs in, grabs it for USA, a clean hold.
A fantastic start for the USA. That's probably the best offensive point I've seen them play all tournament. And as I said in the build-up, that loss to Germany, that kick in the teeth, I think is really going to gel this team. That's what what they needed to force them to find a way to win. They were a bit lackadaisical, maybe focusing too much on social media and their egos, but they've had to take that humble pie, grow from it. That's just what they've done. That's a great start for USA.
And no one's ever questioned that USA have got the talent, but Ultimate is more than any other sport, I think, is a about chemistry, it's about connections. Every single pass requires 2 players to be on the same wavelength, to be on either end of that disc and that throw. And USA just have not looked like they've been on the same wavelength as each other, as well as a lot of personal errors. They started the game in exactly the way they needed to. Coming out on defense now, Helton with a disc in hand. 4 women on the field. Gender ratios changing every other point. 4 men for the first point, 4 women for the next 2, and then 4 men for the next 2 after that. Underhill with the cap and the hair tailing out, big bid coming in. The pressure rising from the USA, exactly as you described, Liam. Relentless Underhill again. Flicks up the line to Santos. Brittany DeSantos, an outstanding performance from her in the tournament so far. Both the first 2 games have featured her heavily on the stat sheet. Will she be able to do the same again here? She's got Helton for company. Underhill to Sang. Just glanced across to that far corner for a moment and then thought wise of it. It's down the line from Underhill. Sang cuts, connections made, but it's going to go back to the call.
Yeah, that roll and turn from Sang, possibly getting blocked off there by his own player. Salam calling the pick.
Jimmy Mickle, 23 shirt, taps back in. Underhill. No reset, gets it back to Kimura. Underhill cutting across, nice floaty passes, he's going to be able to milk it in, he is. The touch from Laura Kimura, the perfect pass, nobody on that far side of the field, and a great offensive hold for Canada to match.
2 fantastic starts from 2 brilliant teams here, Tom. We've got such a cracker of a match in store for us. Both teams riled up for this. Beautiful offense from Canada as well. Very obvious who was cutting. They weren't getting each other's way. They were taking their time, taking their turns. Mora anchoring this offense for the Canadians.
You saw that float from that disc. Absolute perfection, just drifting away. Underhill, plenty of time to work out where the end zone line was and collect it the right side of the line.
I think giving each other space is one of the things the Canadians are doing very well, and maybe something the USA can improve on. I saw in their game yesterday, I remember a moment where both Williams and Helton runned under for the disc, cutting each other off, and then Dylan Freechild tried to take over with that give-go, but they weren't on the same page. And I think all those USA players are used to being the person everyone looks to on their team if it gets under pressure, and often they all end up trying to get involved, and it's sometimes doing the right thing is creating space for someone else, and that's something the Canadians do very well. It's something USA are going to have to do.
Gets it across to Carolyn Finney. Flick to Williams. Williams back to Freechild, and a player on the floor in the middle of the field. Robbie Brennan, the 0 shirt. Marking for Canada. Freechild floats it back to Finney. Finney with a real rapid flick. Helton collects. Inside flick to Finney in full stride onto the end zone. Freechild takes it down, slams it to the ground. Malek Auger-Samer chasing down hard, nothing he could do. Mackenzie appeals for a slightly kinder reaction, but he's not going to get that from Freechild today. He's fired up.
Yeah, Freechild just walked on by to Mike McKenzie protest maybe of that spike disc, but they'll shake it off. See that deep shot there was Robbie Brennan initially on Freechild. He went deep. Auger-Samer was there. I think there was going to be a handoff, but it was a bit of confusion there, and Freechild ends up just running it down with ease. But yeah, definitely a man not shy of an old spike, Tom.
It's fired up on the sideline. It's fired up on the field. Let's have a look at that ping again from Finney. I think it was the shouting down at Auger-Samer's bid on the floor that Mackenzie was complaining about. Freechild takes it, and he's talking to him, isn't he? I don't know if they'd had words previously in the point, Liam, but...
See Robbie Brennan there, the Irishman, maybe trying to calm things down.
Yeah. Ultimate is a self-officiated sport, and the players need to remember that at the same time as competing at the highest level, cool heads and respect for the sport, the rules and each other is still a very important part of the game. Sang. Puts off Underhill's cut and goes to the far side. Sang has it back again now. Barbieri. Late addition to the Canada squad. It's the Canadian men running it at the moment. Carroll flicks to Underhill. Barbieri comes out of the deep space. Into the end zone, Sang rises and playing some all-male ultimate there. It was effective.
I think what happened there was actually the USA men were trying to help out the women downfield and left the Canadian men unguarded. They're happy to oblige and take those easy passes. You can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to adjust to that Canadian offense they've faced against earlier on this year, looking for the women deep, but Canada doing the right thing, taking the easy options.
That was one of the bits of feedback they gave earlier in the tournament, wasn't it? We're going to take what we're given. We're not going to try and force things to happen. And the Canadians very effective. We're 4 points in, not a single turnover so far. The highest quality game from both of these teams. And my goodness, they need it. There's a chance to play Colombia on the line. And if you don't win this game, there's no medal for you. That's what both teams are up against. And I'm not sure either of these sides are used to that feeling, you know. Quarter-final knockout, which is essentially what this game is.
Yeah, great for the pundit, though, Tom, to see Mike McKenzie going to pull here. He's going to be key for this Canadian team. He's one of those D-line players that plays with his heart, puts everything on the line, and can really elevate a team to step up. And he's the kind of spiritual leader, I feel, of this Canadian team.
A fantastic game marking out Justin Ford. That disc from McKenzie, though, is landed on the running track. Give us the full range of your emotions at seeing the disc fly out of bounds from the pull there, Lynn.
It almost seemed like a tactical break there. It was so far out of bounds. Don't see it too often, but not sure what he was trying to do there. And the pull is such a crucial part of the game. You're handing 18, 20 yards to a team.
And then sagging Canadian defense makes a lot of quick yards for the USA. Popped it in the front court. That is way too easy. If the Canadians want to have a chance in this game, they need to tighten up the pulls. They need to tighten up the defense. Americans can't believe how straightforward that was.
Seen less holes than Swiss cheese, Tom. That was a terrible defense, really. Not much else can be said for Canadians. They walked it down the field. Not sure if they're on the same page there at all. Started off with a not great pull and even worse defense, really, from the Canadians. Not how they want to play defense in this game.
The coaches will have a word. The players will be more aware of that, but every single point will count in this game. We are on serve. No turns for either side. USA gifted a point, really. Claire Trope with her second of the game.
Claire Trope, by far the youngest player in this USA roster, and notably the oldest roster at the tournament USA. They have that experience, but perhaps playing a more traditional style of ultimate and being tested here with more modern defenses throughout the tournament, particularly from the likes of Germany, but they're having to adjust, and that's something they can do.
Yeah, the 23-year-old physicist from Dartmouth College. Played with Riot, Brute Squad and Scandal, which are kind of A to Z of the top American women's teams. Brilliant experience for such a young player. Underhill. Quick forward pass. Nice gain of yards to Carroll. Floats it around. Lots of airtime underneath that, and it needed it. Sang chasing down across the turf. Dos Santos out to the wing. Gets the disc back. Snags with one hand, quickly tries to find Menzies. Menzies then cuts away, clearing out the space. Floating forward again, Underhill. Very, very involved in these opening offensive points Tsang's ability to change directions so quick. That's a mistimed cut coming from the deep space. Float to the far side, better from Canada. Jacobson centres to Kimura. Pick called. It's going to come back to Kimura in the centre of the field. Pick was definitely called before the throw.
You could say with Tsang if it didn't affect the play.
That's what's going to happen. Kimura. See the position, the swing, pass across the field. Great flowing offense. But the USA taking away those second and third options. Now it's moving quickly with Kimura down the sideline, sprinting free. Tsang cuts into that front corner, but there's a mismatch. It's going to be a player free. Now it's been found on the break side, is wide open, but front of the end zone. Tsang holsters the spike. Tidy, patient offense from Team Canada.
So clinical from Canada, and again, taking what's given to them. You saw that poach in the front corner. They looked around, where's the free player? They found them and capitalized on it. They've been doing that so well. I think Brittany Dos Santos doing fantastic here. I think she was a deep threat all tournament long. USA recognizing that, forcing her under, but she's very happy to play in that handler's place. Look for the give, go, working it upfield. Again, taking what's given to them.
I think Dos Santos would normally see herself as a handler, so she's been an incredible deep threat in this tournament, but very happy to handle all day. Kimura, this is interesting. Finney just sitting with that three shirt, taking away Tim Tsang's cut up the middle. Jacobson, with the presence of mind, doesn't continue to the far side. Claire Trope had really reacted fast to take that option away, but there's always going to be spaces.
I like that fake spike from Tim Tsang. Different approach from the Canadians. No turnovers yet in this game, Tom. Pressure is for tires.
I love commentating with Liam Grant. Big bid, and it's not connected. The disc was too far away from Mickle. Now it's floated in the end zone. Mickle caught face marking, and the first break goes the way of Canada. And a USA mistake, and we knew it might come. They've made mistakes throughout this tournament. Canada punishing quickly.
Canada are pumped up right now, and that's what they need to do. They need to ride the lightning. They need to get USA on that back foot. They are pumped up right now, and look, it's just one turnover, 7 points into this game, but already means so much.
Mickle not mentally resetting after the fingertip grab. He was asked, there was a big miscue on the throw, forces him to lay out, didn't connect, but the positioning of the mark going into the end zone, we'll see that in this replay, just didn't look like he was aware of the threat. Easy pass in the end. Mickle misses the disc. Oje Samer, so look at the replay again. Nearly got the fingertips there. Oje Samer making absolutely certain. Dawson with the fast reaction pickup and score for Canada. They lead this one by one break, 4-3. Change of defense from Canada.
Yeah, coming out with a side stack there, the USA, but a good time to play a bit of zone to stop that initiation pass from the Canadians.
Pick called. Jimmy Mickle conducting traffic. Lots of space in the middle of the field, but USA players all coming back at the same time. Two-handed grab going forward. Caroline Normile lurks, ready for the reset.
A lot of picks for USA in this possession. You can see they're playing a vertical stack, but not giving each other enough space necessarily.
Almost gave each other too much space for a minute and then quickly reacted, realized they were too far away. And now they're clustering around. almost like the whole team conducted themselves closer to the disc. Quite a compressed field, big spaces. And that, it's really the point. Deep shot goes up, chasing it down. Kocher catches in stride. A perfectly weighted disc into the end zone. Too easy. And USA 4 each.
All the way from downtown there, that shot from the USA. A bit more of a spirited celebration there from Dylan Freechild. I'm enjoying these unique handshakes. Seems like he has quite a few with the USA team.
Does he have a different handshake for each different member of the team? We saw the handshake he did with Trope at the start of the game. Completely different connection with Kocher.
Lindsley finding his range here. Definitely didn't have his best opening 2 games, particularly with those downfield hooks. But they're finding the range now in the deep shots for the USA, which is critical for them.
Lindsley, one of the most experienced players, featured as part of the 2017 team in Wrocław. And using the experience with perfectly weighted disc downfield for Kocher to chase. Just the one turnover, just the one break is the difference between these two teams. But USA have got a chance to correct that right now, coming down the field on defense. The Canadians clustered in the center of the field as Underhill collects. Sang initiates that cut. Kimura. Just one player at a time cutting for Canada. Intelligent marking. Ooh, I'm not sure Brittany DeSantos was the targeted receiver there, but she made sure of the grab.
She catches everything that comes near her, Tom, whether it's meant for her or not. Very safe hands.
A pick called and it's going to go back. I think Menzies was the target. Either way, the Canadians will be happy to retain possession. Santos surveys the options downfield. Sang available for the reset, trying to get it onto this other side of the field. That time to Santos. Commentators curse Liam. Tickled off the thumb, and USA getting the turnover back. Can they punch it in now to get themselves back on serve? Freechild, Lindsley looks at the downfield options. A stumble from Carroll. Williams now sends it deep quickly, straight into the chest of Freechild. Barbieri reacts, gets it to the ground, quickly picks up to Sang, to DeSantos. Canada reacting quickly to Carroll now. They've got more space than they had before, and they're going to exploit it into the end zone. It's Laura Kimura strolling forward, acres of space, and they stay with a hold, but they looked a little more shaky than they had done previously.
Yeah, an uncharacteristic drop there from the Canadians. I know that line is used quite a lot in commentary, but that was the first turnover of the game. They really need to keep this break into halftime, because if they do, they're going to come back out on offense. Gives them a chance to go 2 points ahead. Coughed up a chance there, the USA. Not sure what happened there on the turnover. Looked like he was trying to cut Dylan Freechild in two. He needed oven mitts to catch that one. It was coming at him hot.
Sang. Let's have a look at, just mispositioned the hand. Santos was running. That was coming at Freechild hard, wasn't it?
Nice big buttery biscuit to Kimura. Not usually going into deep space, but when she does, you're going to throw it to her. And again, taking what they're giving. You can see USA are trying to take away what the Canadians want, but they're very happy. DeSantos coming back into the handler spot. Kimura going deep.
Kimura going deep and beating Finney. Second point, she's been beaten deep now. Arm stretched. Big shot going downfield. Big bid coming up. And the Canadians have got the disc on the ground again. Was Mickle the target? Who knows? There was a crowd of players underneath it.
There was a small Irishman as well. Robbie Brennan gets big.
Gets it into the backfield. Lewis. High stall count, but does get the disc moving eventually to Dawson. Floats it forward to Brennan. Big around pass to Molly Lewis again. Overthrow slightly, Mickle. Oh, so Kocher keen to chase it down. Doesn't get there. Careful with the feet, Mackenzie, but it's going to go back. Normile marking Hannah Dawson.
Classic North American ultimate here. Very little turnovers, lots and lots of picks.
Big backhand centres it up. Continuing, that's going to be high and floaty, but Mackenzie reaches up ahead of El Salam. Lewis. Pressure from Chastain is really taking away the options of passing to Alicia Mason, but the deep shot goes up. Helton there, Helton gets the hand, and it's a big, powerful layout that denies the Canadian score.
Helton with the closing down speed there, almost setting the trap. See Canada, this D-liner always looking for a deep shot. She knew what she's capable of doing, and a fantastic horizontal bid to deny Canada another break. She's been in this position before. She's lost a World Championships back in 2012 to Japan, so she knows what it's like to lose, and she knows what it's like to win.
One of the hardest working players. Mickle opens up the arm, a big flick. El Salam the target. Mackenzie chasing down. Big bid, big pressure, but cool as a cucumber. El Salam reels it in.
Big backhand hook from Jimmy Mickle. Someone get that man some hand sanitizer, because that throw was filthy, Tom. Just what they needed. A big play. Lots of big plays in this point.
Kayla Helton deservedly taking the high fives of Team USA there, rescuing that block. Mickle, we all know how powerful his backhands are.
See Robbie Brennan with the closing down speed. This is why he was brought onto this Canadian team. Actually does a lot of karate as well, did karate for Ireland, another one of the sports at the World Games. But Kayla Helton doing the exact same thing, setting the trap, using her closing down speed.
What layout form as well, perfect layout form. Look at this. Make sure landing as much, knees hitting the ground first, but look at the presence here. Mackenzie does everything he possibly could to get in the eye line, but Khalif Al Salam not faced by that at all. And another pull landing out of bounds. USA's pulling game might need a little bit of polish in the workshop. Catch our breath at 5 apiece. This game, the spectacle we expected. Just the one break to Canada. Dos Santos. Gets it across to Underhill. Far side. It's Jacobson. Back to Sang. Sang's got an option deep. Underhill's cutting. The disc is arcing. Underhill bid. Their fingertips were open. The disc wasn't there when they closed.
This is a game of inches, Tom. Looked like a good throw when it came out of Sang's hand. You can see what he's trying to do. Thought Underhill was going to get there, but millimeters away from the catch. Any barking orders here for this USA D-line.
Chance to break. Only had one other chance to break. Helton having to put the burners on and get up early ahead of Menzies. Opie Payne cutting out of the centre of the field. High grab. Continues now. Williams centres to Trope. Trope in acres of space. Nate Goff, huge gender mismatch in the centre of the field. And Goff, grateful. So much time and space eventually.
We are back on serve, Tom. USA get that break back.
Well, they didn't manage to convert the first break chance, but there was no mistake the second time round. Underhill apologising, but he really put everything out there. Menzies was inches away from getting the disc back there. Not sure what happened in the deep space here, but Trope was completely isolated, and Britt Dos Santos was left covering Nate Goff in the end zone. It was only going to finish one way.
Not a man you want to leave unattended in the end zone. One of the tallest players in this division. This is a great game, Tom. We're very lucky to have this early on in the tournament. Probably many people expecting it to be the who's going to finish where and which semi-final they're going to get, but this is straight knockout for these two teams.
USA will have breathed something of a sigh of relief as Mickle opens the arm again. That's powerful and floating high, but it's perfectly weighted. Kimura collects and passes to Underhill. Menzie cuts out and leaves space for Carroll. Centering again to Underhill. Break side to Dos Santos. Up the line to Sang. Is going to have to grab that quickly. Very small window. It's a bit of a nudge. The grab is there from Barbieri to keep it alive. Takes away the hat. Clearer vision of the field. Sang trying to cut free. Free child for attention. It's never an easy job getting free of free child. So it's not free child, it was Lindsley. Kimura. Canada still with it. Dos Santos. Across to Carroll. Mickle comes to cover. Takes away the line pass. El Salam bids hard. Underhill skips over. Dos Santos comes again. Floats to the back of the end zone. And Ty Barbieri collects for a hold for Canada, but USA horizontal and near every single disc. Liam, they are fighting hard. They're putting the pressure on, and the Canadians just holding it there. They are 6 each. What a game.
What a game. Next point will take half. The stands are filled, probably the first time in this tournament, with flags. People are getting excited, and they should be. This is a monumental game. Ty Barbieri, a moment of pure magic in that point. Had a big rescue catch from this inside throw from Sang. That is a very difficult catch to make. Hats off to him.
He's gone with the lefty hand because it was the only hand that was going to be in range. If he'd waited for it to get to his right hand, it would have been beyond him. Real high quality. Late arrival in this Canadian team, but really proving the value of having him on the line. Timeout Canada here in Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama, the World Games, and this final game of Pool A, which, as we said in our introduction, could have been, should have been, might have been completely academic, just a positional game. You know, both teams already safely through to semis, tying for whether they finish first or second in the pool. But both of these teams have lost to Germany in the opening two games, and so therefore it's a battle for survival, and neither team was expecting that. USA had a strong start to the tournament against Great Britain, but the scoreline doesn't tell the whole story. It was a 13-7 win against Great Britain, but there was a whole plethora of problems for the USA in that first game.
This is the first time USA have looked good all season. These two teams matched up against each other in poultry days. USA won one game, Canada won the other, but USA didn't look too hot then either. And it's good confidence for Canada. They know they can beat this team, but I guess it's 1-1, but this is the one game that matters between these two sides. They both know they're capable of winning. The USA finding their groove now, finding their rhythm. And look, they probably have the most talented roster here, and that's what it's about for them. It's always been the case. Coming to World Games is, can they gel? The talent's there. Nobody's questioning that, but probably more difficult for them than any other side finding that rhythm.
Big disc coming down. Plenty of time for the Canadians to get down there. High floaty disc to Trope. Trope with no guard anywhere near. Pokes the disc through the finest of margins. Freechild off to the races, goes deep. Brennan comes back and takes the duties of marking Jack Williams. Williams forward now to Goff. Back to the reset space. Goff continues the cut, but it's well marked out by Auger Semer. Floaty pass and a pick is called. Well, the pace is relentless here. 1 break each, 6 points each. Canadians are going to come out on offense in the second half. USA with a chance to take half. Just 6 turnovers.
Because you're sagging. Like, we make eyes and he throws that. I understand. I think it's because you're sagging, so I don't think it's play. I think I can put pressure on it, though. So what are we supposed to say? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's fine. It's just a pick. Like, yeah, I just feel like you're also sagging. So sometimes I get frustrated players who sag and try to play different space. I understand. That's why we make eye contact.
Good to hear the two players discussing it. But uncontroversial pick. They're almost talking ultimate philosophy there, weren't they? Williams, floaty disc. Freechild rises, makes absolutely certain of that grab. Williams darts forward out of the end zone. Freechild clatters into one player with McKenzie going over the back, and then as he returned and cut free, it was Molly Lewis. Freechild almost turning to look at what had just hit him.
Getting to know each other very well, Mike McKenzie and Dylan Freechild. Don't think they'll be pen pals after this game, but that's okay. Discussing things very fairly. Not sure what happened there.
Well, I think McKenzie had looked at the disc and didn't realise that Freechild had basically just stopped in an instant. The first thing that hit him was McKenzie's knee, so he was still in full stride. USA keeps the toes inside the line, and Lindsley scores to take the half. What a half it's been. High quality ultimate under the highest of pressures. The World Games final match from the pool play. This critical qualification match between USA and Canada has been a real high spectacle, Liam.
As good as it gets, the highest level ultimate you could ask for. Just 3 turnovers apiece in this first half. Both teams playing like winners right now, but only one team can advance to the semi-finals.
Might be a case of getting on a roll, getting some momentum. Neither team has had any momentum here so far. Ali Sang, the coach, on the left of your shots.
They've been in this position before, you know. They've had their backs against the wall at multiple tournaments and World Games. And it's all about staying positive. Great to see the crowd pumped here in Alabama.
We're back after the half. It's World Games final pool play. USA 7, Canada 6.
Tom, thank you very much. Are you not entertained? What a half of ultimate. 7-6 on serve. So much spice, so much tension. Daryl, what did USA do differently today than what we saw yesterday?
These matchups were well engineered. They clearly had a plan and put Claire Trope in a good position to guard Britt Santos, and Claire has understood her position as a deep receiver, yardage gainer, and she's making really great throws. The second thing I'm seeing are good checkdowns from USA throwers. Jack Williams had an opportunity on one point to try to throw a huck to a contested male cutter. He instead checks down, hits Claire, who then hits that next throw to Nick Goff. That's what they weren't doing yesterday.
I have to agree, Daryl. That is the most salient point that I am seeing as well. They're taking a few extra passes until a very clear-cut opens up downfield as opposed to one that's potentially contested. They look so much more cohesive and clean today as a result of just a few extra passes till someone's open downfield.
We also need to pay tribute to this Canada team, which may have made even more massive strides than the Americans from where they were when the tournament started to where they were now. Only 3 turns for Canada. Tim Sang, Andrew Carroll, Britt DeSantos, Lauren Kimura, all of them playing great ultimate right now.
And you can add Ty Barbieri to the mix. I mean, he is...
that was an insane catch that he made.
Absolutely. He's been a great receiver for U24, for Canada, and moving forward. I love that they're getting him on the mix, along with Kevin Underhill. It just seems like they found a starting 7 that can really hold against any pressure.
Yeah, and you notice that the United States has been putting on force middle, and that's one of those great looks that can take away pull plays. Oh, and that throw just a bit out of reach for Underhill. That force middle is making Canada, Team Canada, look twice, and they're happy to take those extra looks. The chemistry they have built in this tournament so far paying off in dividends.
It was interesting to me that Nate Goff started the game on offense, a guy that we typically think of as a defensive player or a big man, but I think it was a 3-male matching set, and Goff was one of the 3 males out there for the U.S. on O.
Absolutely, and they also found a way to, you saw Jimmy actually probably take the sacrifice from the U.S. O-line over to the D-line for that next point.
These are the spirit captains right here. Robbie Brennan for Canada, Chris Kocher and Kayla Helton. A bunch of fun, bubbly personalities in that group. The tensions are rising here, certainly with Michael McKenzie and Dylan Freechild, arguably the 2 most fiery guys on their respective teams.
Yeah, and that probably stemmed from an earlier moment where Dylan and Malik Ojesima were having a little tussle in the end zone, we should say.
One way to put it.
Well, Dylan decided to stare down Malik, and, that wasn't taken very kindly, so I'm sure things like that. I agree. That was not very spirited. U.S. is dead last currently in the spirit rankings, and, I mean, moments like that, it was for attitude and self-control. I believe that's exactly the moments that people are talking about.
But speaking of self-control, I was really...
This is the stare down right here, actually. Look at that stare down in Spike. And words were exchanged. I was very, not more than 10 yards away from the situation. It was pretty heated right here.
All righty, 7-6. USA leads Canada. We are on serve. There's an unbelievable atmosphere. And for the second half call, Tom Stiles and Liam Grant. Enjoy the rest of the game, everybody.
Coming back after the second half, Canada and USA, with the USA leading by 1 and Canada starting with the disc in the second half. It's as close as it comes as these 2 teams fight for a place in the semi-final to play against Colombia. So they'll be finishing second in the pool. If they win, they'll be finishing third in the pool, and they will be advancing to the 5-8 bracket, which means absolutely no medal. So this is a quarter-final, basically. Tom Stiles alongside Liam Grant for the second half. Big advancing play from Canada. Sang trying to get free. Not available. And Mickle comes through with a block. Chastain to Mickle. USA with the perfect start to this second half. Chastain cuts down the line. Dos Santos stays with her. Kocher cutting up the line. Floaty disc. Sang looks at the end zone, takes away the option to Mextroth. Now strolls back up towards the disc. It goes across to Mickle. Really intelligent defence by Sang. Stays in that lane to block the pass to Helton as well. El Salam dishes it back to Mickle and continues the cut to the wing. Mickle on the disc now, into the end zone. Claire Chastain spikes on the head. USA with the perfect start to the second half. A break.
Jimmy Mickle with the big defensive play. Not exactly known for that style of play, but a good read on that one. Interesting to see Tim Sang there sagging in the lane. That classic defense where you're doing lots but not really moving much. But they eventually work it around. Surprised she didn't take that reset to Sang. Jimmy comes charging through the lane there.
Who had Jimmy poached off there? Because that was the intended target there was Brittany DeSantos. Alyssa Mason the handler in trouble. Let's have a look at this replay. So easy in the end.
The thrower's bookends there from Mikkel. That's the Colorado connection. Both players played a lot of their ultimate in Colorado. Claire Chastain. Usually wearing a Rafi Hayes jersey. I'm pretty sure Rafi Hayes wears Claire Chastain pajamas as well.
All the fashion. USA, the perfect start to the second half. The Spirit timeout at half-time. Just trying to keep a lid on the tempers. Trying to keep a lid on the slight over-enthusiasm of the first half. Make sure that doesn't boil over. The game stays tight and close and competitive. Menzies now for Canada. And the disc back is picked off by Trope. Quickly into the hands of Helton. Helton sends it to Trope. And Trope survives the big bid of Underhill and brings it down. And they have broken Canada twice in the opening points of the second half. This is what we said. The USA have the momentum now, Liam.
And the crowd goes wild for the home team. It's not often everyone's cheering for the USA, but on this occasion they are. And that was fantastic play for them. The wheels starting to come off this Canadian offense. They've been so good in the first half. Haven't found their gears in the second.
Let's have a look at the impact that Trope has been making in this game. See the celebrations that this USA team have clearly spent a lot of their preparation time working on their hand gestures. Trope scores.
3 goals, 1 block and 1 assist for Claire Trope. She showed up for this de facto quarterfinal.
Menzies looks. No way that is making it safely. Looking nervous, the Canadians. They didn't look nervous at all in the game against Great Britain. But right now they're in a completely different match, a match that matters. It's a medal on the line, Liam. It's a medal on the line. Or even, no, it's not even a medal on the line. It's a chance at a medal. If you lose this game, you're going into the 5-8 bracket, and the USA dominant start to the second half. They lead this one 9-6.
And I like that celebration of the USA. Claire Trope jumping there and hugging her teammate. You know, it's about that teamwork, enjoying the game. I don't think they particularly enjoyed the first 2 games, and then allowing everyone to step up and have their moment. It was Mikkel 2 points ago, then it was Claire Trope. They're all superstars. It's just allowing your teammates to be the superstar at the right moment.
And the Olympic Channel will be the exclusive home of the semis and finals, both tomorrow and Saturday, beginning 4 p.m. US Central Time on both days. That's the place to tune in and watch. And if you are enjoying the live Ultimate, between the 23rd of July and the 30th of July, the WFDF and Ultiworld.com are proud to present the World Ultimate Club Championships from Cincinnati. 128 teams from 40 countries to subscribe. Visit Ultiworld.com. The finals will be available for free right here on the Olympic Channel. Kimura picks up with the pressure building on the Canadian offense. Can they find a way through? Nervy taking the extra moment to consider the pass. They've been playing on instinct so far this game. Will they be able to re-engage that natural flow that they seem to have? Kimura gets free of Opie Payne. Big bid coming in as Williams throws himself across. The disc safely in the hands of Carroll. Barbieri, the cut-up line marked out by Freechild. Resets to Dawson. Dawson back to Carroll. They're going backwards here, the Canadians. It's a high floaty disc. Safely brought under control on the sideline by Dos Santos. And this is an absolute sky ball. Who's going to come down with it? It's a takedown in the end zone by Barbieri. But contact made in the end zone
Barbieri won the jump ball anyway, plucks that one out of the stars. You can see he got the run up to it.
Black initiated.
Goff completely stationary. There's Barbieri, there's no way he can make a bid on that disc without going through the back of Nate Goff.
If that was USA Ultimate Rules, you'd think Barbieri has footing to stand on, but from WFDF rules, I think he initiated contact there. It was a great catch, but Nick Goff deserves to be able to stand there and not get cleaned out.
Jumping straight up, and you were coming into it and initiated the contact.
I'm just going to
So,
okay, it's foul contested.
contested.
Yeah, I think the replay tells the story to you right there. Nate Goff absolutely stationary. Ty Barbieri running right into the back of him. Sang stationary as he collected that one. The USA going to be absolutely fired up now. The Santos to Tsang. Somehow the audience have gone quiet in the stands. Dawson. Oje Samer. Kimura. Floaty release. It somehow comes up in Canadian hands. But Dawson is going backwards here. The nerves starting to show. USA have forced Canada to the halfway line. Incredible one-on-one defense, and now the mistakes are pouring in. And somehow you feel like justice has been done here. Free child. Floats over the top. Oh, and who's waiting for it in the end zone? It's Claire Trope once more for the USA. They have broken the Canadians 3 times in this second half. Fantastic start to the second half from the USA. They lead this one by 4. 10-6 is the scoreline.
Yeah, and Canada have not scored since half-time. Very tight first half, but USA running away with it here. Claire Trope, an absolute score machine.
The pressure was building from that quite contentious call. Barbieri completely destroying Goff in the end zone and contesting the foul call. Let's have a look at it again. Kimura going backwards. Goes backwards, and Carroll, the Canadians just really looking nervous. Free child quick to start it. Gets it quickly to Finney. Finney, no hesitation. Dawson nowhere near Trope. Trope scores another. 4 goals.
I feel like no one should be allowed to beat USA until the final, because this is what happens. If you beat them early on in the tournament, it gets them all riled up and become too dangerous. You get one pop of them, but they are a hard team to beat twice or to lose 2 games in the tournament. They've been playing so much better than they have all tournament.
They look like a completely different side, and they look like they're having fun with each other. There was some dissatisfied looks between the team in the early points, some confused looks. Like the USA shouldn't be in these sorts of positions, but here they're having fun. They're smiling, they're high-fiving, they got all the celebrations worked out, and they're in a dominant position now. Canadians with some serious questions to answer as Brennan collects for Canada. Finding a way through, big bids coming in on the back of every disc.
Not sure if there's an in and out call there. I think if she even straight out, she could maybe call a force out there.
I had it, and your contact.
That's exactly what Menzies calling.
I think my momentum took you out, and I
Oh, she didn't have complete control of the disc on that replay. It looked like she had a grab, didn't collect it, and then trapped it on her leg when she And I guess she's saying, okay, we'll listen.
Yep. Accepted? Yep. Foul, it's a force out foul. It's been accepted.
Yep.
I think Menzies could debate she had possession of it before contact was made, and it was maybe Mextroff pushing it out of her hands and out of bounds.
It's what's been agreed on the field. Mextroff showing great spirit and accepting Menzies' call. Good position on the mark there from Kocher, just stepping that 2 or 3 yards away, or it has to be within 3 meters for the stall count to continue, but just backing off makes those around throws so much tougher. Underhill now. Rennan in a lot of space, losing Lindsley. Can they do anything with it? The continuation cuts just aren't there for Canada. They're doing lots of resets. El Salam going up, and Mackenzie not happy with that play at all.
There's been a few of those plays from both sides in this game, Tom, so you don't want to see it from either one. See, Mackenzie just stopped, I think, a little earlier than El Salam expected, and he's not happy with himself.
Apologies made. Disc stays with Canada. Finding a way through, down the line, milking it forward. Free of Mickle is Tim Sang. Low release. Oh, what a disc from Tim Sang down the line to Mike Mackenzie. That is quality.
A gorgeous throw for Tim Sang. Goes for that low release, arcing towards the receiver. Not many people could execute that throw. This is why.
The big reach of Mickle. Mickle's fully thrown himself at that disc, but the release point was so low to the ground, even gravity couldn't get him down quick enough to the disc.
Call him Timmy All-Star back in Canada, and it's for moves like that. That's why he's here, to make those difficult throws.
2 goals, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 turn. Stats on screen for you.
See Robbie Brennan on the field again. I'd like to see him get a little more involved. Has a lot of speed.
Well, they've stopped the rock, Canada. Those 3 breaks coming out of the half is the difference between these 2 sides as USA edge towards that semi-final spot against Colombia. It's 10-7. It's a game to 13. Mason with the big pull. 25 minutes left on the clock. I don't think we're going to need all of those minutes. Game to 13. USA already on 10. Different defensive look from Canada.
Yeah, see this 3-person zone. Nobody that close to the disc. Not even putting a stall on occasion. Just trying to slow down the USA.
Not doing that at the moment, though, as Williams just dances through, going every other. Gets it back to Finney. Down the line goes Finney. Just enough pressure from the Canadians to prevent the pass. Barbieri chasing back away from the disc to catch up with the mark. Goff to Freechild, and there's been a call on the field. There's quiet conversation going over on the sideline between Mason and Finney.
What's it called?
It was a foul, but she didn't say play on, so it just stopped the play.
Okay, the foul called, no play on called.
But I had already thrown it.
Yeah.
So play on. Like,
Yeah, you have to call play on for the play on to come into effect. So if you stopped, it was this pass here, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. So you're happy for it to be there?
Yes.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Yep.
We hear
So still count.
exactly what's happened on the side of the field there. Self-officiating sport of Ultimate. There's no referees. Ruben Berger, head game advisor. Foul was accepted. Disc is staying with the USA. All the foul call seems to have been resolved very quickly, which is great to see at this level. Goff. Quick return pass from Freechild. Finney jams it into the end zone, but that's the first connection that hasn't really worked out. Again, Trope the target. Finney a little hasty with that one.
That's the first real mistake from the USA in this game. Okay, they've had 2 or 3 turnovers earlier on in the game, but that, the first miscommunication, which we saw a lot of yesterday, maybe allowing Canada back into this game.
Canadians with a chance to break back in this second half. Floaty disc across, taken down. Did they land inside the end zone? No. Lefty break, and the USA dominant again. The pressure from the defense forcing the big floaty around shot, and a takedown on the edge of the end zone is quickly converted.
Nate Goff showing why he was picked on this USA team. Maybe a surprise pick for many, but is having a standout game here. Gets that run through D on McKenzie. Straddle the line, so not a Callahan, but does well to get up quick and dish it off to Williams.
See how pumped up the two relative youngsters for Team USA, Williams and Goff. Canadians with some serious questions. McKenzie did go up, but Goff went up harder, faster, higher. See how pumped the USA are. Completely different atmosphere. Said before the game they needed to find their groove, they need to find their identity, and my goodness, they've found it. And it's a dangerous look for any other team in this tournament.
The disgruntled Canadian there, Brian Gissel, watching this game. WFDF Vice President is doing a fantastic job, as are everyone here in the organizing committee.
Big mark from Al Salam. Shot goes downfield. Meckstroth just watches it drift over ahead. No defense necessary.
I was expecting a Canadian to appear on our screen in the far corner, Tom, but that's so unlike Tim Sang to throw to no one.
Still count high, perhaps. Again, the USA defensive pressure. That's been the thing that we've been admiring throughout all of the mistakes that we saw and all of the problems they had in the first couple of games. The defense looked good. And now they've tidied it up, but the defensive pressure is still there. Underhill getting it back. Contact made on the throw, call on the throw.
Underhill with the takeaway downfield. We do have a call in the stack, however.
The pick called.
I'm not sure how that would affect this play. I think the turnover should stand.
I think the turnover is going to stand, yeah.
Underhill with the disc. Chris Butcher on the mark for the U.S.
Throw had already gone. See the position of the players on the field as Underhill surveys the option, goes down the line. Great gain of yards. Kimura floats it forward. Can they milk it in? No, they can't. There was no float on that disc at all. Sang frustrated. Just lost the energy, they've lost the swagger, they've lost the confidence they had at the start of this game. Canada, the USA are circling, ready to pounce. Mickle. Strikes up the flick. Meckstroth the target. Dos Santos went up but couldn't get the fingertips there. Meckstroth looking for the reset. And El Salam just darts around the back. Quick turn of pace. And this is a dominant performance now. Their fourth break of the second half. There's no way back from Canada from here.
Jimmy Mickle unleashing a monster flick. Plenty of terms in this point from Canada. That throwaway to absolutely no one. Not sure what was going on there for the Canadian offense. And Kimura just not connecting right with what we see. Jimmy Mickle there stretching the Canadians like a slinky. An easy pop into the end zone for a Salam.
Just a smile, just a smile. That's well, he's usually got a celebration for us. It's one of the brightest characters in the game, Khalif El Salam. Always an entertainment, a highlight when he's on the field. And the mickle throw, the mickle flick is something we've admired in the game for many years. He's had miscues and out of bounds pulls in this tournament so far, but right when it matters in this critical match, chance to get through to that semi-final, it's right on form. Barbieri now, can they get at least a couple more holds? I need one more hold, and then the defense needs to be unstoppable to stay in this game. USA one away from the semi-final. Canada one away from being relegated to the 5-8 bracket. Dawson. The disc is too high. McKenzie out of bounds. Lindsley makes sure. Calm is the call from Finney in the middle of the field. Goes around the back. USA played one heck of a game here in the second half. Two teams completely even in the first, but a chance to get a break and win the game. Barbieri and Freechild clashing as Freechild collects that disc.
Well, he was running to the showers already, Tom. This game not over just yet, but this possession could win the game for USA and book them a place in the semi-finals.
Canadians have only scored 1 point in the second half. That's how dominant the USA have been. Opie Payne, relatively quiet game for her, but oh, just as I say that, throw across field. Not collected by Nate Goff. Any call?
Playing a game of Twister there with Ojay Samar on the ground. But picks him up. It looks like no call. That was what I'd call a hospital pass. A crossfield throw, hanging it up there.
Nate Goff shaking up on the play. Nate'll step off the field. Chris Notcher coming on for the U.S.
He's had a few bumps and bruises in this game so far. Some from his own layouts, some from clashes with opponents. Looks like that's going to stay with the Canadians. Lindsley is passing on the instructions as called. We don't know what was called, but whatever it was, it's the same as that.
It's definitely injury anyway, initially.
Throat taps in. Canadians working it round the back. Ojay Samar flicks forward. Barbieri resets to the middle. Quick movement of the disc across the far side where Hannah Dawson picks up. Flick around the back to Barbieri. Dawson. Forward pass, big pressure building as Finney, all ever present. Dawson flicks, it's a well-weighted pass. Barbieri snags it in the end zone, absolutely needed to do so. Again, coming in on a knife edge, Canada hold. But now they've got to take 5 points on the bounce, and they can't let the USA score once.
Tough ask for any side. Barbieri, he's got glues in those hands. Looks like such a safe receiver when you put it up to him. Had a chance to win the USA with this stray pass.
There's a turnover each in that one. Ojay Samar doing the defensive work. The strong left hand of Barbieri controlling that disc from Dawson.
That's here. One break, that's what you need, Canada. You got to play what's in front of you.
Well, it is just a series of one-point games, isn't it? They can't think about the task ahead of them, because if they do, it's a daunting task. Mackenzie with the disc in hand. Mason, Dos Santos waits. Dos Santos a really quiet game compared, just the one assist. Barely been near the disc. Really not looked like the same player as she did. So dominant. The disc goes out of bounds, not what they wanted. She was dominant against Great Britain. She was the only really bright thing about the Canadian performance against Germany. Not really featured in this game at all. Mickle just strolling it up. Opens up the backhand, sends it into the end zone. Is this it? It is! Mextroth collects. The mixed specialist wins for the USA. They move into the semi-finals against Colombia tomorrow. They've done the work all in the second half. The two teams inseparable in that first half, but it's been a completely different story in the second, Liam.
Jimmy Mickle was third massive hook of the game. Just grabs the bull by the horns, like, yeah, I'm going to win this now. First pass. Disappointment for the Canadians. They fought so hard in that first half. They looked like the better team for a few points. And that's why Mickle is on this team, to make those big shots. He's been pretty much the only one to make those field end hooks all day, and it's been incredibly precise. We actually saw the Colombian team in the stand there while the USA crowd were going wild. The Colombians just sitting there. Wasn't too much claps out of them. It's going to be a fun semi-final, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely, it's going to be a fun semi-final. Don't forget the other semi-final is going to be Germany-Australia. You can watch them both here tomorrow. The Olympic Channel is the place to tune in and watch. This is quite a game we've seen here. The World Games Ultimate Flying Disc Tournament has been a real highlight fest. Amazing results, amazing plays from all the teams. Eventually we made it through with a fairly well-spirited second half. There's a couple of moments, but most of the calls were sorted out nicely.
Incredible start to the game with nobody turning over for the first 6 points. Looked like it was going to be a really close game. Turned into a bit of a dogfight. The USA came out stronger, but brilliant from the Canadians. They put on a real show for us.
Mickle's big throws, part of the story. Mextroth, twice the target. And it's USA into the semi-finals. Tom Stiles alongside Liam Grant. It's been an absolute pleasure to call this one for you. 13-8, they win it. USA into the semis here at the World Games. The four-time reigning gold medalist at the World Games, the United States of America, lives to see another day and is still alive in pursuit of a medal. 13-8 over Canada. Wow, a brilliant second half. A 6-2 run to close the game for the Americans, and they will face Colombia tomorrow. The semis are set, and to break it all down for you, our game day crew, Daryl Stanley, Megan Tormey, I am Evan Lepler. Megan, it was on serve at halftime, and the USA began the second half with 3 straight breaks.
and that was basically the game.
Yeah, and you have to give credit to Jimmy Mickle for his D that really ignited the break train that set the tone for the second half. It was an incredible effort, and then every time the United States got the disc, they treasured it, they cherished it, and did exactly what they needed to do with it. And that's what we saw from them in their first game this tournament. They were so eager to make their breaks, I believe 6 out of 8. And very similar effort from them today.
That was the game's first turnover. There were 0 turns in the first 6 points. A Normile reset errantly to Jimmy, and Canada had the first break of the game, the 4-3 lead, but then Kayla Helton flying in like a superhero to get the disc back. And USA got that break back, got back on serve, Daryl, and look, a lot of different players contributed to this win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. To me, I think one of the matchups and players that I think is going to be very prevalent in the second half, Claire Trope, doing an immense job. She'll get a bookends here really soon on Brittany DeSantis, the star at that point of the Canadian offense.
And here is the throw from Trope that made me realize this team was different today. You saw her emotionally center herself before she threw to Goff there. Just a totally different demeanor from last year.
Jack checks down on that throw beforehand.
Yeah.
Here's the play of the game, folks.
This is the bookend.
Skying Underhill, who is trying to poach away. Just a tremendous athletic play from Claire Trope that made it 10-6. Canada got one back with Mackenzie beating Khalif up the line, but just too big of a hole to make up at that point. And that D from Nate Goff, nearly a Callahan, which would have been the first of the tournament. Nate Goff quickly to Jack Williams in the crowd, reached its crescendo in that moment.
Oh, I mean, we heard them just chanting. This is probably the biggest crowd we've heard so far.
Yep.
They got booed a little bit earlier, and I was like, oh, wow, Canada, great job getting your fans out here. But the U.S. fans just came through towards the end.
Final point of the game, Jimmy Mickle to Sarah Mextroff. And look, it's been an interesting tournament for Jimmy Mickle. He's felt off kilter at times. Defensively, he's been a liability at times, but he got his hand on a couple of discs in this game when possession was really precious, and he showed a couple times his ability to fire beautiful, majestic deep shots, which helped carry the USA to the win.
D-line Jimmy is a very interesting move. I'll say that a lot of his teammates he'll have to thank. Carolyn Finney did a really good job of covering. Claire Trope, I saw them just constantly helping deep.
Well, break chances, USA 5 for 8, Canada 1 for 3. Britt DeSantos was pretty quiet this game for Canada. Which Americans were most responsible for slowing her down?
Trope and Mextroff.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I think they might have marked her out of the game, and Canada made a switch towards the end of the game to try to put Britt on the D-line, I think because they really found that they couldn't find a way to get her open on offense and really effective.
6 turnovers for the U.S. That is more than either Colombia or Australia had in their game earlier, but it was enough for the U.S. against Canada to set up a rematch of the 2017 gold medal game. That's going to be the first semifinal here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Time in the afternoon. Colombia and the U.S. Germany, Australia will be the later game. All 4 of those teams have had moments where they've looked like gold medal material. USA had 6 turns. They didn't play their best today. They still can, I think, up at several levels, and they're going to have to tomorrow against Colombia.
I mean, I think they found their roles. Honestly, they just showed that there's the best maybe individual defense available on the U.S. roster, even though I think that the Germans have shown the best overall team defense. So at least the U.S. has now got a calling card that they can say, hey, maybe we're the best at the tournament at something.
I was certainly pleased to see them holster in the mistakes that cost them the game so dearly against Germany. You know, it will be interesting to see what the coaching staff comes up with, because they are going to have a late night to game plan against Colombia again tonight. I mean, obviously, it was do or die time against Canada, but this Colombian squad may be their toughest challenge yet, which is crazy to say considering their game against Germany.
We've asked a lot of questions about the U.S. leadership and how they would prepare for this game against Canada. No Miranda Roth-Knowles on the sideline. We're told she tested positive, so hopefully Miranda's feeling okay. I know her husband and daughter tested positive last week, but Miranda had tested negative up until today. So Miranda, if you're watching, USA survived without you, and we know you'll be cheering them on from afar. How do you feel the U.S. leadership handled the last 24 hours to get ready for this game? What did you notice the most that was different today from the U.S.?
Well, I noticed more cohesive decisions defensively that helped get them more breaks. You know, they clearly had designed different defensive looks that they thought would contain the Canadian offense the best. They were doing some force middle. They also, a couple of pull plays, had the person who was guarding the reset handle stay back in the stack, being an extra defender downfield to disrupt the play. So those two looks helped make things look a little bit sketchy for Canada offensively.
Well, and offensively, the message got through to the U.S. players. Check down. Take the safe look. You don't have to always take the home run. Maybe we're going to let the home runner throwers do their job. Jimmy Mickle, picked his spots, right? But you saw pretty much everybody else to a T checking down and taking the easier throw. I think that was probably the biggest difference I saw just offensively.
What a second half, again, for the United States. It was on serve at halftime, but 3 consecutive breaks broke it open, and so many different players came up huge. Obviously, we've talked about Claire Trope. That D from Nate Goff was enormous. I thought Jack Williams played his best game of the tournament here today, becoming a little bit more aggressive downfield Jack, which is when he's been at his best. I mean, the U24 team, 2017, a game against Italy, he kind of had to become the alpha, and when he's aggressive, he's unstoppable.
I mean, he was running right at us one point, and there was somebody just laying right behind him, right? And it was incredible to me to see him leave that person in their dust, running at 100% of their speed and laying towards the disc. I haven't seen Jack run that effortlessly in quite a while. It was impressive.
Yeah, anytime it looked like Canada was perhaps slowing down the offensive reset, Jack would come in with a striking cut and just open things right back up again.
We began here in Birmingham about 58 hours ago with 8 teams, all with 3 games on the schedule. Pool play to determine the semifinals, and Germany and Colombia certainly have been the class of the tournament, but I think you'd be foolish to count out either Australia or the United States as we head toward the medal round, which begins tomorrow. What a day it has been here on our game day set. We've already chatted with a couple of legends like Mauricio Moore and Matsuhiro Matsuno, and one of Daryl's favorite players, Claire Trope, is going to be our guest when we come back after the U.S. takes down Canada 13-8. The Americans survive. Claire Trope coming up here from the World Games after this.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
that place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
And we are back in the twilight here in Birmingham. The Americans take down Canada 13-8. The youngest player on the American team, the flag bearer for the United States of America in the opening ceremonies, and 4 goals in this game against Canada. Claire Trope, thanks so much for joining us. Can you take us inside the USA meeting room? What were the last 24 hours like as you tried to rebound from yesterday, get ready for today, and how does it feel to be moving on to the semis?
I mean, it feels amazing. I think we wanted it really bad, but you can't say that Canada didn't either, and they gave us a hell of a game. We've been going back and forth with them through this whole process leading up to this tournament, and they've given it to us, and we've given it right back, and I think we owe a lot of where we're at to those early games that we got to play against them. After yesterday, I think we made some tactical changes, strategy, tried to kind of loosen up our offense, but mostly we spent just us players. There's 15 of us, and we sat in on some dorm beds, and we just talked about what we want out of this experience and how we're going to do this together. And we kind of came down to that what we really wanted was the opportunity to fight for one more game together, and so that's where we came to throughout today, and that was kind of our focus of doing it for each other.
Who were the most vocal voices in that room?
I think Dylan Freechild was probably the biggest, kind of talking outside of, obviously we talked a lot about the strategy components and what we thought we needed to do, but Dylan really brought it back to the thing that makes these national teams experiences really special is the people and the relationships. And yes, it's awesome to do well and excel at Frisbee, and we put so much effort into it, but the special experience is really getting to know each other, getting to find a family here for this week and a half. And so he was a really big voice for us yesterday and today and throughout this whole thing.
I have to know, simply because we kept remarking that a lot of the mistakes made in the game yesterday seemed so correctable. After this emotional meeting that you had, what was the feeling like leaving that?
Yeah, I think a lot of trust. I think we knew we could turn it around, and that we're out here with some of the best players in the world, and we're going to go and give every other team our best. And
walk me through this backhand of yours, right? This is Nate took 2 people deep, you got the under, you threw this big backhand, and I think the next package is going to be the exclamation point on your block.
Yeah, this is probably Claire's first time seeing this.
Did you know Kevin was that close?
Yes. I did. Yeah, the backhand, I mean, Nate is oh, that's an awkward moment. I think Nate is a huge target, and we talked about putting up 90% shots to our teammates and trusting in them, so that was an easy choice for me. And I mean, I love playing against Britt. We just had a nice chat. We've played against each other a bunch, so she got me real bad at pull-through days. It was nice to feel like I could apply some pressure for that block at this tournament.
You win this game 13-8, but at halftime there was literally no separation. I mean, each team had 3 turnovers and 1 break. It was on serve. Were there any adjustments made at halftime that enabled you to make this big run?
No, I don't think really any at all, actually. I think our big motto defensively going in was that pressure was going to build, and that we might not get them early, but by applying really, really tight person D throughout the whole game, we were going to force errors, we were going to get our hand on plastic, and I think it did, and we started to convert in that second half.
I noticed you did a lot less force middle today than yesterday. Did I see that right? Was that something you guys talked about, or was it still a lot of force middle today?
I think we did some of both. I think we called out of it a few times, which was a little bit new for us. But I think, Canada gave us a lot of really different and awesome looks, and we had to keep adjusting on the fly in order to hold our lead and keep punching them in.
Adjustments were another thing that felt very, very different today. What was on-field communication like? What was sideline communication like? And how did that differ from previous games?
No, we tried to give players a little bit more time on the line. This is so fast in comparison to USAU that the whistles are blowing and you have no time to find your matchup and figure it out. So we tried to be a little bit, I think, quicker on the line to give us more time to get settled. Obviously, Miranda, our defensive coordinator, just tested positive for COVID. Luckily, none of us were close contacts, but we were having her remotely coaching us, be able to watch. That's lovely that it's live, so she can give that input and feedback. And so I think we were really relying on our coach's expertise and then also trusting in our own instincts.
As the youngest player on this team with so many superstars, what has it been like finding your place and finding your role and taking charge at times because you have the ability to do so?
Well, I just love not playing against these people in club. It's so much more fun to be on the same team. I think that the age factor hasn't really felt like anything. I mean, nobody's treating me like I'm incapable of contributing. So I think just finding my moments, but also finding other moments to help highlight others. And I think that's a team-wide effort. And I think that's one of the things we're going to rely on to carry us through this tournament.
There were some personnel shifts. I noticed you early on in the game when you can kind of control the matchups and who's the O-line, right? There's only 2 lines, but there's still an O and a D if you could at the beginning of the game. I noticed you came out on D. I felt like the day before I saw you a lot coming out on the offensive unit. I saw Jimmy Mickle switch over a little bit more with that defensive unit than the offensive unit. Were those changes that you all made intentionally, or were those things that just happened as the tournament went along?
Yeah, I think we haven't really been running fixed O and D. I think we kind of have been potting people together based on chemistry and trying to see who works well together. So some of that is, how the chips fall, I think, during half. And then, I don't know, I think the awesome thing about this team is, everyone can play D and everyone can play O at, this amazingly high level. And so, maybe I'll play some extra D today, and maybe I'll play some extra O tomorrow. And I trust in every single one of us to kick butt out there wherever we're put in.
Given the circumstances today, this feels like such a huge success, but you know that the tournament is not over and you have a stiff adversary tomorrow in Colombia. What are your thoughts going into the game? I'm sure you've spent all the time talking about this game, so I'm asking just your perspective. What are you thinking about tomorrow's game against Colombia?
I'm thinking it's just us, we want to fight for one more game together. I want to get to play one more game. I want to leave it all out there, no regrets, and I think everyone on the team does as well, and, give it all we got, I think.
Claire, congratulations. We've had a lot of great Ultimate players and leaders on our set today, and I think Darryl was most excited to meet you. So you're going to have to stick around for a picture, just you and Darryl, because you're his favorite player. So he probably wouldn't say that, but do you want to elaborate, or are you too nervous?
I am 3 for 3 right now on meeting my favorites, Masahiro Masuno. I met Mauricio, and now I get to meet you, and we interviewed all 3 of you today, and it's been unbelievable for me. So I'd love to have a picture with you.
Sounds great. Yeah, definitely.
All right, we're going to take a quick time out. Darryl's going to get a professional photographer out here to get a picture with Claire, who is a star for USA today as they take down Canada. Some final thoughts from pool play as we wrap up our game day coverage coming up.
Okay.
Wow, what a few days it has been here in Alabama. We have waited so long for another World Games with Ultimate and the top 8 countries in the world coming together for the first time. I don't know if we've talked a whole lot about just the historic nature of this particular World Games, but 8 countries instead of 6, and just a whole different feel to this event, Ultimate competing on the world stage. The semifinals are set at 4 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. It'll be USA and Colombia, and then at 6 o'clock, Australia and Germany. Before we get to our all-pool play teams, Darryl, what have been your big takeaways from being here on the ground and spectating the best Ultimate in the world over the past 3 days?
It is indeed the best Ultimate in the world. The athleticism, I hope it comes across on the great coverage that we've had. We've had so many different cameras. I think we've combined all the modern technology that we can to just show you just how fast these players are moving. You would not know that there were only 14 players per team based on how hard and how much stamina and how much grit is happening out there in the field. It is intense.
Megan?
For me, I think the moments that I have most enjoyed is, first and foremost, watching France enter the World Games stage. I was so impressed with what they showed up with that's incredibly difficult to do when you are arriving at an international tournament for the very first time. The other thing that was just astounding to me is what kind of product you can put on the field with months and months of preparation. Team Germany, just wow. What an absolutely stellar.
Well, you're seeing a snapshot of the statistics from pool play. Australia's Rob Andrews leading the field with 10 goals.
Kenton Roger's up there.
Tom Abrams
got Andrews
from Great Britain.
Yep, he's fourth. Nico Müller. This is goals and assists combined per game, and they ranked it by that. Nico Müller, third there.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Kenton Roger only has 2 official games played. It looks like the France-Japan stats may not be completely updated properly.
Sure, but that shows you how impactful he was in the first 2 games, and I don't think there's anything in that third game to suggest that he wasn't nearly as impactful.
Well, during our delay earlier today, I gave Megan and Daryl the task, which is really an impossible one, of coming up with 7 names. It could be 4-3, either gender, with a dominant majority, and to come up with your all-pool play team. And this is not trying to pick the best team that you could possibly come up with. This is rewarding the players who have played the best over the past 3 days. Who wants to get it started?
I'll go first. I'll get it over with. This was an awful task to undertake. I wrote a short list and then had to cut it down from there and cried every time I crossed someone off the list. But my final line is Valeria Cardenas, Sarah Meckstroth, Claire Trope, Lev Kovalchuk, Sam McGuckin, Nico Müller, Kenton Roger, and Dylan Freechild.
Wow.
Okay.
Say the names one more time.
Why? Because you're going to count that I actually put 8 on there instead of 7 and call me out on it? Is that why, Evan?
No, I just wanted to make sure everybody understood who you got. But I did feel like there was an extra name there. We only have 7 on the line, Megan.
I know.
Megan could not narrow it down.
I could not narrow it down, no.
Okay.
I couldn't do it. So here it is again, my top 8. And from there, I'm just going to let the opposing team pick which gender is on the field. Valeria Cardenas, Sarah Meckstroth, Claire Trope, Lev Kovalchuk, Sam McGuckin, Nico Müller, Kenton Roger, and Dylan Freechild.
Okay. What you got, Daryl? How similar is it?
Several similar names.
Oh, nice.
Kenton Roger, Nico Müller. You have to have those 2. I went with Rob Andrews instead of McGuckin.
I was torn.
Okay. Let me pause on my 4th male. He may or may not be on the list yet. Lev Kovalchuk was incredible. Valeria Cardenas, and I'm going to go with her sister, Manuela.
Thought about doing that too.
Those are my 6 right now, and I'll come back to my 7th.
So there are 2 other Colombian women that I contemplated, and one of them is on my team. So the women matching players that I chose for my top 7 in pool play were Lev Kovalchuk, Valeria Cardenas, and Gina Cartagena. I just thought she was so good and decisive today. In the male players I had on my team were Nico Müller, who's been a popular pick, Rob Andrews. I thought Tom Chulet was phenomenal and just an unbelievable quarterback. He and Nico kind of 1 and 2. And look, Team Germany has been so good, and you could pick Anna Gerner or Nikki Prian. I went with Konrad Schlor for the defense that he brought, and I want that defense on my line, and just thought that he made such an impact in the game against the U.S. He had 3 blocks in the first half of that game, but really you can't go wrong, and this was a foolish task because it's been a remarkable day. But these are the best players in the world, and it's cool to kind of check in and see who has risen to the top on this type of stage.
I think I found my 7th person.
Oh.
I wanted to get some more cutting. Like, all the disc-dominant players were named. Especially when you said Tulit, I felt like we now have definitely overweighted ourselves towards the handlers. So I'm going to go with Ford from Great Britain. I mean, quietly just incredible, running past everybody, throwing, catching, cutting, getting Ds. I think Ashley also could have if he played all 3 games.
Yeah.
I think the impact that he showed, I maybe would have picked him as my...
They were on my short list as well. It's like incredibly difficult decisions to make.
And I think our teams would be completely different. If we were picking, we want the 7 best players for tomorrow's semifinals, then I might think about Eliza Mosquera and Dylan Freechild and maybe Chris Kocher. But, I mean, I'm trying to reward what happened over the past 3 days. So it's a very different conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, poor Britt, because Britt DeSantos would have been on this list for me. I think it was just before the game I had her on this list, and now, I mean, She's not there, unfortunately. So I hear your point about how quickly that can shift based on what is my context? Is it the first 2 days? Is it the next 2 days?
Yeah.
And obviously Ultimate is a team game, and the individual statistics and the individual accolades mean very little compared to the pursuit of gold medals here at the World Games. Again, the semifinals are set. USA versus Colombia in a rematch of the gold medal game in 2017. They're meeting in the semis. One of those teams will be playing for the bronze here on Saturday. And then Germany and Australia will be the second of the two matchups. And it was interesting. After we talked to Mauricio Moore before, I was walking down the sideline with him, and he said, look, people give me crap about who I chose for my team, but I'm not trying to pick the 14 fastest players or the 14 tallest players or the 14 best throwers. I'm trying to build the best team. And through the first 3 days, they have been the best team. What do you foresee over the next 2 days?
I think Colombia is going to just show that their D-line offense is still better than everybody's at this tournament. If we talked about, what's each group's best attribute, I think they've got a couple of superlatives. They're the most cohesive. They have the most reps together. They're playing mixed ultimate the best. They are possessing the disc the best. But I think all of that pales into comparison to the fact that their D-line offense is just clinical. Nobody else they've never had a blip trying to convert, whereas every other team, even these top four, have had blips. I think that's what's going to carry them home.
It's kind of amazing that none of us had any Colombian male players on our top 7 because, look, the female matching players' skills, success are highly touted and all well-deserved. But Colombia has upped its level because of the play of Simon Ramirez and Ivan David Alba and Hawk Jimenez. And, I mean, it's really foolish to just list 3 because all 7 of them have been really spectacular.
Yeah, and I mean, that has just been the icing on the cake for Colombia, who just continues to excite and wow us international tournament after international tournament. And certainly I had a few of the male matching players on my list as well, simply for the outstanding effort that they've exhibited all tournament, but in particular this game against Australia today.
How many names were on your short list?
There was about 20, which is a short list in my mind, considering all the players that were here.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Honestly, what amazed me was, I thought of them, having coached against a subset of those Colombian male matching players, I thought of them mostly as great defenders, great athletes, great goal scorers, great cutters. And I think, even in the mid-game, while that was being challenged by Australia, they said, you think so, huh? Let me show you that Simone can throw. Let me show you that Cantor can do more than what you thought. Their versatility is on display.
Time for some final thoughts on the World Games, pool play, and what is ahead. Daryl, what has this experience been like for you? It's really your first time in front of the camera on the microphone. You've done an unbelievable job. Your insights are truly spectacular, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'm curious what the experience has been like.
Just eye-popping to see how incredibly the world is playing right now. The world is playing Ultimate. It is no longer a U.S. or North American-based game anymore. Everybody is now taking bits from each other and developing their own unique style and coming up with their own formula. And I love seeing that just coalesce here and watch all these teams and those with some of the best laid plans succeed.
I love watching the overall development and evolution of the sport through the different offenses, defenses that we have seen, as well as the execution of excellent coaching that has made a huge difference we've seen in taking advantage of those small break opportunities, those small windows that open themselves up at the World Games and just get smaller and smaller each year. Individual performances on a stage where there's so much pressure has been just exciting and inspiring to watch. And overall, I just love to see this sport played at the top level in mixed, where you expect high level of play and receive it from everyone.
You see anything here that you're going to bring back to Public Enemy in Texas to try to employ?
Certainly.
All right, well, look out for that with Megan's Big Steve. A little Mauricio coyness right there, not wanting to give away
another
too
thing
much.
I learned from this tournament.
All right, well, this has been a bucket list broadcasting moment, I think, for all 3 of us, and it has been such a privilege to be here with this wraparound pregame, halftime, postgame coverage. A few thank yous. First and foremost, our crew here in Birmingham, led by Charlie Eisenhood, Aiden Shapiro, Leighton, Lindsay Sue, all the camera folks and engineers and power and everybody here in Birmingham. Birmingham. It just made us feel at home, and through the trials and tribulations of these long days in the heat, it has been really special to be here. Obviously, our 4 commentators who will be with you for the semis and finals have done a tremendous job, and we look forward to listening to Tom Stiles, Hannah Pendlebury, Rael Toshnarova, and Liam Grant. And I particularly look forward to hanging out with Liam in Cincinnati in a couple weeks. It's been too long since I've seen that Irish guy. And, wow, Tim Rockwood, our executive producer, who couldn't be here because of a personal issue. But, Tim, your texts and insights have been invaluable throughout this process. It has been a real thrill to be here under your leadership as well. So thanks to all of you who have joined in and watched our World Games coverage here in 2022. Again, the semis and finals will be on the Olympic Channel starting tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern with the quartet of commentators that I mentioned. But for now, on behalf of our entire crew here at the World Games, I'm Evan Lepler. It has been a privilege and an honor. Thank you for being with us. Enjoy the rest of the World Games. Thank you for watching this exclusive World Flying Disc Federation coverage of the World Games. On behalf of our entire crew in Madrid and everyone here in Birmingham, Alabama, I'm Evan Lepler. This has been a copyrighted presentation of the International World Games Association in conjunction with the Olympic Channel and the World Flying Disc Federation.